We take a lot of cruises. We've enjoyed them for years, and now that we're retired, we want to take them every time we can. But they can be expensive. So during this video, we're going to actually show you how we identify and take cheap cruises. We're going to take a quick train to Baltimore, and then we're going to be at the port before you know it. So we're looking forward to sharing some tips with you on how to do this yourself and our adventure with you.
We love cruises and have been on dozens of them. We took a break during the pandemic, but now that we are retired early, we are back with several new ones planned. We are currently on the Royal Caribbean's Enchantment of the Seas, and so far we're off to a great start. We've boarded the ship. We've actually had lunch already, and now we're in our cabin, and we're going to give you a tour of the cabin in just a bit, what little there is of it. But before we get to that, we thought we would share with you a few things that we've observed. We actually haven't cruised in a few years, but we've noticed that they've made a few improvements, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, number one, the app. They've got everything on an app now. They encourage you to put it on your phone and use it to check in. And we did that, and it was seamless. They've got everything there for you. And then it's got everything you need in terms of navigating the ship, in terms of menus, reservations, everything. So the app is really cool, and that's a real upgrade instead of trying to run around and find out where you are on the ship.
Absolutely. And the second thing that we've learned that they've improved upon is the muster drills. We used to hate those things where you gather with everyone at a certain time, and then they take you through how you put on the vests and stuff. Now that's much more seamless. Will you describe it for us?
You have two options. You can either look at a demonstration on the app or here in the room on the TV. You check a box that you've done that, and then all you do at your convenience within an allotted time before they leave the harbor here is you go and you get your name checked off at your muster station, and you're finished. That's it.
It was so easy.
So much better.
Very seamless. And then the third thing that we've noticed is, oh my God, the internet is so much better. And for people like us who are, very tech savvy and who do YouTube, of course, that's super important for us.
We have streaming speed internet, and we just read that it's actually provided by SpaceX, and it's satellite based. So no matter where we are, and of course you don't have the comings and goings of being in and out of cell zones and that kind of stuff. And so far we've seen it's lightning fast. It's not inexpensive. It's not too bad. But I'll tell you, we bought the package for the cruise, and so far it's flying for us. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. So if you're like us and you haven't cruised for a while and you're wondering if you should come back or not, give it some thought because the industry has moved a bit. So we're really impressed.
This is our room for the next 12 nights. It's an interior cabin, and actually we're pretty good with it. There's not a whole lot here, but it's very comfortable. It's got a bed, a television, and everything you need. And that brings me to this tip, and that is after all these years of cruising where we had to have the balcony cabin or the suites, what we did was we really looked back and said we never got on the balcony, hardly ever. And we rarely used these other rooms and television areas and all this stuff. So on this trip, we got a really good deal, and we decided to try an interior cabin. This can save you 50 to 60 to 70%. On this cruise, we're saving a lot. And you essentially get the same trip, but of course you have this smaller cabin. There's a few things about it that, I don't love. It has a shower curtain in the shower instead of glass. And of course, you don't have any light coming through or any air, but we're pretty comfortable down here. And we really like the fact that it's got no light because we used to get up early in the morning with so much light coming through the balcony. So if you think about and are comfortable with and actually love to sleep like we do, this thing is dark and lets you sleep forever. An interior cabin can save you half or more on the same exact experience. And based on our reality, even if we had the bigger room, we weren't using it anyway. So we're looking forward to this trip and our little home away from home here. We're here aboard Enchantment of the Seas, and you can see we're out here in the atrium. We've been listening to the house band for the last 30 minutes or so, and they've been great. You can see this is a very classic ship. This ship was built, I think, in the late 90s and refurbished about 5 years ago. So it's not a huge ship with all the bells and whistles that some of them have today, but we actually love it. As a matter of fact, because it's an older ship and it doesn't attract some of the people that want all the new stuff and the water slides and the rock climbing walls and all of that stuff, cruise companies also offer deals on them. So a really good tip is to look for opportunities for deals on ships like this one if you're not looking for rock climbing walls and all that stuff, because you can get a great experience. You can have a really nice time. I think it's more intimate and more fun. It's kind of classic, but it's a lot of fun and a really good tip if you want to save some money.
It's a sea day today. And as you can tell, it's kind of a choppy, bad weather day as well, which is okay. Michael and I, we don't get seasick or anything. And actually the sway of the ship, it's kind of soothing at times. But that brings us into our next tip. It's often great to look for cruises during the off season. That's when you can get some really great deals. They're trying to get rid of that inventory. So look for cruises in the off season.
We just had a great workout aboard the ship, and it reminded us of a couple of things we wanted to share. We travel so much that we really think of cruises as almost like a very easy, chill experience, almost a wellness retreat. And therefore, we're not as worried about getting up and going out on all the excursions and that kind of stuff, which really allows us to enjoy the ship, take it easy, and also look for deals, because we really don't care that much about where we're going most of the time. Which reminds me of a tip. If you want to have such an experience, look for repositioning cruises, where the boat is being moved from one location to another. Oftentimes, because it's got a lot of sea days, you can get a really great deal, and then you can do exactly what we're doing on this trip: enjoy the boat, work out, eat, sleep, read. You're not as focused on the excursions and going places, but it's a great deal and it's a great way to rest and relax. We do it all the time and we really enjoy it. We're here in the bar enjoying a mocktail. We have learned that oftentimes we, in the past, used to get drink packages all the time because the idea of having unlimited drinks was such an appealing thing. But what we found out was we never drank enough, because we don't drink a lot, to justify those packages. So now we get a package that's called the refreshment package that has mocktails in it, so it doesn't have any alcohol, but you have cocktails, you have coffee, you have bottled water, Cokes, that kind of stuff, and it saves a ton of money. If we want a drink, we can order one, and because you have to pay for the package every day of the cruise, we usually never would ever drink enough to warrant a package. So if you're looking for a way to save money and enjoy your cruise, look at the refreshment packages that don't include alcohol. And don't worry about it. If you want to drink, order it, but don't feel like you've got to spend all that money or drink yourself to death to make sure you get your money's worth. I love coffee, and Chris does too. And here on Royal Caribbean, they've got really good brewed coffee for free, Lavazza coffee. And it's in the dining room and around the ship. But we really like specialty coffees, and they have a coffee shop on board called Latitudes that serves specialty, actually Starbucks coffee, and it's really good. So it's not cheap, But they've got an opportunity if you want specialty coffees and to save a little money. There's a couple of ways you can go. You can get a card that has only coffee, a discounted number of coffees for a discounted price. Or there's a package, and we got a package that includes these. So if you enjoy espresso and you like getting around the ship and having a nice coffee, we actually have several options here, and we're really enjoying them here on Royal Caribbean.
So it's the middle of the day, and usually what we do around this time is find a really quiet, comfortable place to read and surf the internet. Fortunately, there are plenty of places like that throughout the ship, and we found a quiet, kind of darkened corner, so that's pretty nice. But that reminds me about another tip that we think will be useful for you. Surf the internet and go to your favorite cruise site websites and subscribe to their newsletters, to their special offers. That's actually how we discovered this one. We signed up to this one for Royal Caribbean, and something came through, and it was a great last-minute deal, and we snagged this cruise. So do the same, and hopefully you'll find a cruise that you really love at the last minute.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay.
We're out on deck now on a port day, and we travel so much, and we've been to some of these places so many times that we don't even need to get off the ship sometimes. And it really allows us, while everybody else has gone off the ship, to enjoy the ship. So we're doing that today. It's very few people, so we've kind of got the place to ourselves, and we really are having fun. It reminds me of another thing, though. We just paid our internet bill, and when I started looking at all the costs that come when you buy things a la carte, it reminds me to remind you that you shouldn't automatically discount that all-inclusive vacations are always too expensive. Whereas they definitely come with a higher price. They oftentimes include many of the things up front that you would be paying a la carte now for if you were on a different trip. So like shore excursions, like drinks, like internet, like gratuities, and all these other things that can really add up. So if you think about what you want to do and realistically what you'll be spending, comparing the total cost of an a la carte cruise with what you're going to do to an all-inclusive can sometimes really be a good value. We have found that oftentimes, for example, we're going on a cruise soon, that we feel very good about the fact that we paid a significantly more, bigger price because it includes all these shore excursions that we knew we'd want to take. So the tip really is to don't be afraid of all-inclusive. Check them out. Be realistic about what you're going to spend when you compare. And if it's a good value for you, use it. We're up here in front of the theater, and we enjoy coming to the shows here. And I'll tell you, this thing books up pretty quickly. So if you want a good seat in the theater, and we do, we usually get here about 20, 30 minutes, sometimes early. We bring a drink and we just hang out. We were usually just waiting on the show anyway, and the bar, maybe having a drink or talking. So we bring it on in here, we get our good seats, and then before you know it, it's filled up, and we've got the seat we want. Another thing is, speaking of booking early, one of the things we've really realized, especially on this very trip, is booking early a cruise is really starting to be a really smart strategy. We just booked another cruise here and actually had difficulty booking a year out, getting exactly the room we want. So one of the things you'll want to remember is if you're going to book, don't be afraid to book a cruise a couple of years or a year or at least several months in advance to ensure you get a good deal, but also the room you want. The other thing that we have found is if you're already on a cruise, another tip is to book it while you're here. They've got incentives for people that are already on the boat that usually are better than what's public. So you can get special deals, you can get things like credits and other things that you wouldn't get if you go through the regular website. So book early and book on the cruise. Two good tips to remember if you're gonna plan some cruising in the future.
So we wanted to let you in on a little secret. Not many people know about this, but at the very top of the ship, deck 11, here on Enchantress of the Seas, but you probably have a similar place on other ships, is the nightclub area. So at night, you know, there's lots of music, it's very loud and crowded, but during the day, it's usually the very chill spot that you can go to read, get away from everything. Not many people know about it. There's not a lot of music. There's no Caribbean drums or anything. And you can really go here to relax. And there's usually a great view of the ocean. So look for that on your ship. We also wanted to follow up on a tip that we gave you earlier. So one of the earlier tips was to book early. But the opposite is true as well. Booking last minute. Now, not many people can do last minute. Fortunately, we can since we retired early. But if you're in a similar situation, look for last minute deals on the websites and see if you can snag a really great price discount on one of your favorite cruises. Hey folks, I don't know if you can see that amazing sunset in the background, but it's absolutely stunning. Unfortunately, they've turned the boat around and now we're headed back to port. But it's been an amazing trip. We loved every second of it.
We really did. We had such a nice time on this trip. We relaxed and we worked out and we did all of these things that really we love to do, and we enjoyed things like the view behind us. We've already booked 3 more trips on cruises during this time, and frankly we hope that the tips that we shared with you will be beneficial to you as you get out there and look for trips as well. But for now, this one's almost over and we look forward to our next one.
See you in the next video.
Bye.
Watch this video to see what's next on our adventures and check out our customizable merchandise store. See you soon.